downtown St. Louis, buzzing again as the Cardinals will play the Cincinnati Reds in the rubber game of this three-game series. And the Cardinals lead the NL Central with a record of 63 and 52. Monday night, game one of this series, Cal Loesch made the start, and he pitched very well for St. Louis. Matt Holliday providing a spark offensively for the Cardinals, and they would take game one. Game two, though, a different story. Mitchell Boggs getting the start, and Lance Nix early on with the bases loaded. Played at 2. They picked up 4 in the first couple of innings and rolled to the win. So where do we stand? The Cardinals 3 games in front of Chicago, and the Cubs will face Pedro Martinez. That's right, Pedro is back in the National League and with the Phillies tonight. Al Hrabosky, Dan McLaughlin, and welcome to Cardinals baseball. The Cardinals, any way you want to look at it, they can snap a losing streak with one of the best on the mound, Chris Carpenter.
Anytime Chris takes the mound, his teammates go out there expecting their ace to win. He has so many different weapons, how he can dispense with opposing hitters, and he just thrives when he faces the Central Division.
We have been talking about this, taking a look at the different divisions in baseball all week long, and when we come back, we'll take a look at the American League East, the Yankees, and Andy Pettitte trying to run away with it. A look at the Yankees, Boston, Toronto, and the rest of the game next. Each night this week, we're taking a look at a different division in baseball, and tonight it's the American League East division. The Yankees have not won a playoff series, hard to believe, since '04. Missed the playoffs for the first time since '93 last year, but it looks like things could change once again for New York. They're playing well.
They're playing very well. They've won 8 of their last 10. You look at Boston, they've struggled in their last 8 ball games. They currently are leading the wild card. In Tampa Bay, 10 games back behind, 10 games on the loss side. I think you've got to look at New York's going to hold on. They have the resources to do so, and Boston probably wins the wild card.
When we come back, they will debate. Jim Hayes, Al Hrabosky. What are they going to debate? Find out next. Two of the big acquisitions by the Cardinals this year, Matt Holliday and Mark DeRosa. The question to debate, should the Cardinals be done making moves? Jim and Al debate, and let's start with Al Hrabosky. Al.
Absolutely no way. You're always looking to improve this ball club. Tony's gone on the record that he would like a veteran right-hander down there in the bullpen, but there's not very much power off that bench. You need some versatility there. Even when you get past the trading deadline, even when you get into September, maybe somebody's not eligible for postseason, but if they can help you get to postseason, you're always looking for help.
Well, the emergence of Blake Hawksworth, I think, dissipates the urgency to make any kind of deal. Hawksworth, over his last 12 appearances, has an ERA of under 1. I think Jason Mott has more talent than he showed. I don't think he's going to continue to struggle. And who are you going to get? A guy who clears waivers? If he clears waivers, there's a reason why teams don't want him. Maybe it's a guy already at home sitting on the couch. The Cardinals have talent here. Better talent. Use it.
No, I'm not saying that there's not talent, but you're going down the stretch. That's a whole new ball game where some of these youngsters have not ever experienced that. I'm not saying you have to make a trade, and it depends on the cost, but you always look for that veteran that ideally has had a little postseason experience, or somebody that's giving you that shot in the arm, somebody that knows the wars, because it's a whole new ball game when you get into September.
If you're worried about young guys in the bullpen in the postseason, 5 words: Adam Wainwright and Josh Kinney. Mad one?
That was '06. We're talking about young guys today, and we think that Mott and Hawksworth that you mentioned are part of the future. But right now, you've got a chance to win, so you've got to do everything you can on a daily basis to see if there's somebody that can help you out.
All right, guys, good job, and nicely done on the debate. We'll continue the discussion during our telecast here tonight. Back with more in just a moment. There might not be a more dominating pitcher in baseball than the Cardinals' Chris Carpenter. Despite missing time with injury this season, the Cardinals' right-hander still ranks among the game's best in wins and ERA. With just under 2 months to go, the former Cy Young winner has thrust himself back into Cy Young contention in 2009. Standing in his way tonight are the Cincinnati Reds. Dusty Baker has vowed that his club will play hard the rest of the way to see if they can knock out the front runners in the National League Central Division. Albert Pujols connected on home run number 37 last night in Game 2, and he has now matched his season total from a year ago. The series is up for grabs. The Cardinals took Game 1. The Reds held on in Game number 2 for a win. It's Chris Carpenter against Homer Bailey. The St. Louis Cardinals. The Cincinnati Reds in Game 3. Bill Finley and his crew are putting the finishing touches on the diamond, and our first pitch is next on Fox Sports Midwest. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Budweiser. Reach for the perfect combination of flavor and refreshment. Budweiser, the great American lager. By Steak and Shake, famous for steak burgers. By Auto Tire, for the lowest prices in town, we shop the competitors so you don't have to. By Chevy, see your Mid-America Chevy dealers or shop and compare at stlchevy.com. And by the State of Missouri Tobacco Quit Line. Call 1-800-QUIT-NOW. Another big crowd filing in tonight to watch Chris Carpenter and the St. Louis Cardinals try to take 2 of 3 against the Reds. And the Cardinals start playing tonight 3 games in front of Chicago. And as we mentioned moments ago, the Cubs are facing Pedro Martinez back in the major leagues with the Philadelphia Phillies. And Carpenter, it's been a while since we've seen him lose a game. He has been so good. And the Cardinals in his starts, they more times than not win. And overall, Chris Carpenter is 11-3 with a 2.26 ERA. Umpires tonight, home plate, Chad Fairchild. First base, Angel Campos. Second base is Wally Bell, the crew chief. And over third, it's Marty Foster. Dusty Baker has said that his club will play hard down the stretch and with some of the young players find out what they have for the future. A look at his lineup: Chris Dickerson, Willie Taveras, and Joey Votto. Brandon Phillips, Vladimir Valentin, Alex Gonzalez, who had 4 hits last night. Drew Sutton gets the start at third base. Craig Tatum is their catcher. And the youngster Homer Bailey still looking for his first hit this year. Chris Carpenter and his numbers out, brought to you by Marshall Wireless.
You see the 11-3. He has won his last 3 starts against Cincinnati, including 2 previous starts this season. That ERA is the best in the major leagues. Only 19 walks, only 7 home runs. And you just look at how he just goes about his business. He dominates against the Central Division, and his career, he is 80-36 in games he's started wearing the Cardinal uniform.
Last 7 starts, he has 6 wins and a no decision. Last time he lost was back on the 30th of June. Another big crowd here tonight, and a look at the defense behind Carpenter, presented by Auto Tire, with Matt Holliday, Rick Ankiel, and Ryan Ludwig in the outfield. Mark DeRosa, Brendan Ryan, Skip Schumacher, and Albert Pujols along the infield. And the battery tonight is Carpenter and Molina. We talked about it just moments ago, Al, with Jim, Tony La Russa, maybe trying to find a little help in the right side of that bullpen.
You're always asking for more. Now, Tony will tell you that he knows this team is very competitive, especially after the recent additions to the offense. But there is a little bit of a weak spot out there in the bullpen. Not to say the guys out there are not capable, but you always would like to have that veteran presence to make this team a little stronger.
This is our Domino's first pitch of the game. Chris Dickerson yesterday came off the 15-day disabled list. Had been out with a right rotator cuff. Ranks among the National League rookies in most offensive categories. He's made 53 starts, including this one tonight. Hitting .265, a couple of home runs, and 13 RBIs. That pitch is taken low and away, 2 balls and no strikes. Carpenter is coming off of 8 innings last time out for the weekend against Pittsburgh in the Steel City. Gave up 9 base hits and 4 runs, and the Cardinals won that game. 2 balls and a strike.
It's like Chris kind of stretching out a little bit, and let's see if maybe a little stiff back or something, but see if he kind of loosens up as he goes along.
Here's a ground ball hit to second. Skip Schumacher is there and makes the play.
Defense loves to be behind Chris Carpenter because he throws so many strikes. He works quickly. and tries to retire hitters in as few pitches as possible.
Heard from Tony La Russa on the pregame show with Mike Shannon, and they are just raving about the transition of Schumacher from outfield to second base as Homer Bailey is making his way in from the bullpen, having finished up his tosses in the bullpen, and he'll make the start tonight for the Cincinnati Reds.
When you have a position change like Schumacher, all you really want him to do is be able to consistently make that routine play. And that's what they're marveling about, is he's done that. And Tony felt like he would be playing at this level next season. And here he is doing it right now, you know, in his first year of transition, and doing an outstanding job making all the routine plays, an occasional exceptional one.
Willie Taveras looks at a strike. That couldn't make Carpenter happy after getting that first out, then having to wait for Homer Bailey just to walk back into the dugout.
Yeah, but why wait? Go ahead and pitch. Play the game.
I believe it was the umpires that held him up. I agree with you. Play the game.
They're big leaguers. They got gloves in their hands. They can do that, but that's ridiculous waiting for somebody. You know, pitch your game.
Here's a 1-1. And a foul ball off the foot of Taveras.
Just saw the way Carpenter kind of fielded that ball. He looks like he's a little stiff.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, to me, it's kind of like a lower back or an issue. But it's a beautiful night. Hopefully he'll kind of loosen up. Barry Weinberg's not concerned, so why should we?
And we'll see Adam Wainwright pitch for the Cardinals Friday night. San Diego gets here. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Willie Taveras. Their center fielder in time is called. Breaking ball.
I'm not sure it was granted.
Yep, you're right. It was not granted, and pitch was taken for a ball, I believe.
And Taveras is arguing, but home plate umpire overrules and say, you can ask, but I don't have to grant it. And to Chad Fairchild's credit, you know, you have to protect the pitcher also. He starts his windup, and you see the hand go up, but in the home plate umpire's mind, it was too late. You risk injury to a pitcher by stopping him in the middle of his windup, so go get an easy strike.
I believe Carpenter's just asked for the count. It's 2-2. And now 3-2. Joey Votto on deck. And Taveras hits it sharply to third. DeRosa is there. 2 up and 2 down for Carpenter. There's Joey Votto, and he's talking with the home plate umpire and also Yadier Molina.
How much Taveras been in the big leagues?
For a while. He's with Houston, Colorado, and now Cincinnati.
Well, I mean,
he should know.
Yeah, you have to ask.
1-0 pitch.
Same rule in the minor leagues too.
He may know the rule, but I guess looking at it from his perspective, he's asking why wasn't it granted, but clearly Carpenter had started his windup.
That's why, and I'm sure that's what the umpire told him.
1-1 pitch from Carpenter. Hits his spot on the inside corner. Boy, that's a good pitch there.
And has the cutter that comes in on the lefties, then he has the fastball that runs back over the middle of the plate.
1-2 pitch. Just missed.
That was the cutter right there, and that's a pitch. And I think as time goes along, if he consistently hits that spot, he'll be granted that strike.
2-2. The foot of Votto again. Stays 2-2. Reds could ill afford to see his bat out of the lineup already. Scott Rowland is missing time with concussion-like symptoms after being hit a pitch from former Cardinal Jason Marquis.
Talked to Scott again tonight, and it's the right thing. He's going to be fine, and hopefully we'll see him when we go to Cincinnati, but a little stint on the disabled list and regroup. Still a little foggy.
Let's see if he wants to go back inside here. And he will. And Votto rips it into right center. Over to get it, Ludwig. And Votto is aboard with a 2-out single.
And wanted the fastball away, and Carpenter shook him off and threw us that cutter back in. Votto a good hitter, but see this one, instead of getting in on the hands, it's a little bit more in the middle half.
Yankees win again today. 11 innings, 4-3 over Toronto. Oakland beat Baltimore 6-3. Angels beat Tampa Bay 10-5, and Troy Percival is saying he's probably thrown his last pitch in the major leagues. Been dealing with injuries the last couple of years with Tampa Bay. Mets over Arizona 6-4. San Francisco in a wild game in San Francisco beat the Dodgers 4-2 in 10 innings. So the Giants now within 6.5 of the Dodgers. Rick Porcello and Kevin Youkilis have been suspended for 5 games. Here's a good breaking ball from Carpenter as they had a brawl last night in their ball game with Detroit and Boston. 0-2 the count here on Phillips.
Boys will be boys.
Youkilis threw his helmet at Porcello, charged the mound. Two outs, no balls, 2 strikes on Phillips with 17 home runs, 72 RBIs. And as a second baseman, he is their cleanup man, hitting .264. Almost had Votto.
Yeah, he's kind of taking that lead and kind of jumped up in the air, and Chris trying to time that throw over there almost got him.
Votto is now 8 for 22 against the Cardinals this year with 2 home runs and 4 RBIs. He's hit very well against St. Louis. Best hitter in their lineup against the Cardinals, Tavares, at a clip of .364 against St. Louis. Back to Carpenter. He's got it. Having some fun here at the ballpark, taking some rips here at Busch Stadium. No score after a half inning. I want to say happy birthday to Kelly O'Neill. She is a pediatric oncology nurse at Children's Hospital and never misses a game. Happy birthday to Kelly O'Neill.
Boy, there's the hero for you.
Skip Schumacher leads it off, and Ryan and Pujols, then Holiday, Ludwig, Ankiel, DeRosa, Molina, and Carpenter.
Nurses and doctors, we have 2 of the best, well, several of the best hospitals in all the country here, especially for children. And boy, what a great job they do. It's a tough job too, then oncology.
.1-0 pitch to Skip Schumacher. Base hit into left. Homer Bailey, his numbers brought to you by Marshall Wireless. He's 2-3 this season and considered last couple of years as one of their top prospects.
He's 23 years of age now, and the one thing that talking with Dusty Baker is, you say he's throwing a lot harder this season, and Scott Rowland verified that to him. He said, you know, the first time that Scotty saw him pitch, he goes, boy, that's not the velocity I remembered. As the Cardinals beat him up pretty good the last 2 years, but earlier this year he pitched a pretty good game against the Redbirds.
Here's Brendan Ryan, and he's hitting .282 with 1 home run, 18 RBIs. And Tony on the pregame was talking about Brendan and the defense that he has been providing the Cardinals.
And he also mentioned too that that .280 batting average gets your attention too. So good all-around play from Brendan, and it gives a little spark to the team.
Little check swing, and that time he did go. No balls and 2 strikes. But the Brewers and what they did after the game last night, they lost for the 22nd time in 35 games, and you see what he did last season and this year in the home runs allowed. They optioned J.J. Hardy to Nashville, and they promoted one of their top prospects at shortstop. They announced that Bill Hall, their longest tenured player, was designated for assignment. They dismissed pitching coach Bill Castro, who had been with the organization for 18 years.
17 years in the bullpen. This is his first year in the dugout as the pitching coach.
And that's a base hit into right field. Schumacher to second base, and he'll stop there, and here comes Albert. Runners at first and second, nobody out. Pujols coming up. Dickerson, Taveras, and Valentin in the outfield. Sutton, Gonzalez, Phillips, and Votto along the infield. And it's Homer Bailey and Craig Tatum. Combination. The pitching for Cincinnati.
Worked pretty good for the Reds last night, you know, to jump on Boggs, and so here the Cardinals are doing it. Interesting that you see the inside out stroke from both hitters going the opposite field.
The swing and a miss is Pujols homered for the 37th time last night.
Fooled on the off-speed pitch. A little bit like his 37th home run. Swung at the slider and then tried to sneak a fastball by him, and it went over the wall.
Works on the third base side of the rubber, and here comes an 0-1 pitch to Albert. One ball, one strike. Pujols hitting .325 with the 37 home runs, 101 driven in this year.
Radar reading was 96. Sure didn't look like that type of velocity.
Here's a 1-1. Good block behind the plate. The catcher tonight is Craig Tatum. Albert Pujols, by the way, has 9 two-homer games this season, 32 in his career. Cardinals club record for a single season and 10 multi-home run games. Big Mac did it back in '98.
National League record's 11.
The 2-1. Fouled back. It's Hank Greenberg back in 1938. Sammy Sosa in '98. The major league record with 11 multi-home run games in a single year.
As soon as you said Greenberg, I said, well, it's got to be major league, because I knew Sammy had apparently the National League and Greenberg the American League.
The 2-2 pitch to Pujols. Foul back again. You think about the RBIs, it's now 9 consecutive years for Albert Pujols. 100 RBIs, and that's second only to Hall of Famer Al Simmons. He did so in his first 11 years back in the 20s and 30s.
So much better than that, because you know, it'll be 9 consecutive years. He ends up with that 300+ average, the 30+ home runs, and 100+ RBIs. Nobody's done that.
Here's a 2-2 pitch. Just missed on the inside corner.
And when you're Albert Pujols, you don't
that call.
You know, that call goes your way and not for the kid.
Matt Holliday on deck. A 3-2 pitch to Pujols. Here it comes. Runners go. Off of Bailey with a rocket hit by Pujols. And they throw it away. 1 run is in. That's Schumacher. Here comes Brendan Ryan. Pujols on his way to third base. And he is in there, and it's 2-0 Cardinals. An absolute rocket off his bat.
The Reds are hoping it went off his shoe. And the way it sounded from here, I think it did. But you can't hit a ball any harder than what he hit that one.
Wow. He wasn't limping or anything either.
And that's why I thought he sits there, no crow hop. So you're standing flat-footed, and he doesn't have control of his body, throws the ball away. Should be a base hit.
It's a base hit.
E1, no RBI.
No RBIs, right.
That's what we had agreed to that. And now he's coming off the mound. So just like that, did he even make a warm-up pitch? So that, assuming now it had to hit his leg, and this is the last thing the Reds need.
They've already had Johnny Cueto get hurt. One of their young starters in this series. So 3 consecutive singles to start this game for the Cardinals and a 2-0 lead. So Pujols with the base hit, then the error by Homer Bailey. 2 runs come around to score. 2-0 Cardinals, and Bailey is out of this game. Let's see where it caught him. Be the instep of the left foot.
Left foot. Scrambles after it. When he walked off, he wasn't limping, but here you see right there, looked like it bounced once too.
So it's our Chevy call to the bullpen, and this will be Carlos Fisher. This is the second time we've seen him in this series. Fisher, a right-hander, and he's going to get plenty of time to get loose coming in from the bullpen. He didn't anticipate this, neither did we. Nobody out, bottom of the first, and already 2-0 Cardinals. Numbers on Carlos Fisher, his 27th appearance with an ERA that's under 3. His opponents are hitting .225 against him. His last 15 appearances, ERA has been very good, 2.05, and 9 times he has thrown 2 innings, including 7 times in his last 12 appearances, and in doing so, he's fared quite well. So Carlos Fisher into the ball game for the Cincinnati Reds. What else can go wrong right now for Dick Paul and Dusty Baker?
Especially when you see one of your young kids that just needs to get pitching time, and then to have it taken away from him so quickly. There's Scotty rolling, and one of the reasons I think that Walt Jockey, looking at his ball club, went out and wanted to acquire Scott Rowland is to get this team a little tougher. Not only to have Scott's work ethic rub off on his new teammates, but also provide leadership. It's a trade that I think has been questioned in Cincinnati, but I know Dusty Baker is a big fan of Scott Rowland. Just wants to see him get back as soon as possible.
Well, Carlos Fisher made his major league debut back on May 24th of this season. 11th inning of a 3-3 game against the Cleveland Indians. Pitched a scoreless inning and earned the win as Alex Gonzalez had an RBI double in the bottom of the inning to win it for Cincinnati.
Probably kind of when Brendan Ryan was finishing up at Lewis and Clark State College in Lewiston, Idaho, Fisher was probably going in there. They're both from California and both chose to go to Idaho for their college.
Fisher spent time with the Chattanooga Lookouts 07 and 08. He's in the Arizona Fall League with the Peoria back in 2008, and still nobody out. Comes into this ball game. Relief of Homer Bailey. 3 consecutive singles to start the game.
Saw how the Reds jumped out top in yesterday's ball game. The Cardinals trying to do the same, and they've got a great opportunity now. 1 run or 2 runs already in, and Albert at third with nobody out.
Holiday is hitting .470 with the Cardinals, .316 overall. Can't be easy, Al, as you well know. It's a reliever for Fisher to come in this game. Certainly not expecting to do so in the first inning, and then having to warm up in front of everybody and try to get loose and not force yourself to get loose too quickly to where you truly aren't ready to go.
Well, it's my experience, and I've done it before, that you usually just feel the pressure of everybody saying, come on, let's go, and you usually say you're ready about 1 batter too soon. But you got a pretty good hitter you're facing right out of the chute.
No balls and 2 strikes. Runner at third is Albert Pujols. Holiday drives it into right center field. And a diving catch that's dropped, so no catch. Tavares can't come up with it. Holiday winds up at second base. Pujols scores to make it 3-0.
He caught it, but then when he hit the ground, the ball bounced out ever so quickly. And good work by our first base umpire to hustle out there and to read that correctly. As dives for it, he's in his glove, but then it bounced out when he makes contact. He grabs it quickly, trying to cover it up. So it's a double and RBI, and that hitting just continues for Holiday. Boy, has he been a fun. He's one that we knew was pretty good coming in, though.
3-0 Cardinals. Here's Ludwig, right fielder tonight. Ludwig batting in the 5th spot in the lineup for Tony La Russa's club. He's hitting .267, 18 home runs, and he's driven in 72. Here's an 0-1 pitch by Fisher.
Fisher did have a game against the Cubs where he faced 4 guys and recorded 5 outs. Struck out 4 and had a, strike him out, throw him out on the base path.
2 balls and a strike. Now you have a 3-run lead for Chris Carpenter. It's turning into a long bottom of the 1st.
And some people would think you're crazy, but a pitcher with the ability of Chris Carpenter sometimes sits there and goes, okay, guys, we got enough. Let me get back there and get into a groove pitching wise.
You're right. I do think that's crazy. That's pulled foul.
But you also understand the mindset of somebody that is so confident and said, hey, I've got a little margin for error. That's enough. I think right now he wants to get back out there quickly and get in, not to have him stiffen up with such a long delay.
So again, if you're just joining us, Homer Bailey, the starter for the Reds, out of this game after 3 hitters. A single to Schumacher, single to Ryan, and then Pujols hit a rocket right back at him off his foot, and he was lifted from this game. So now we have Fisher. And Ludwig is swinging a miss. He strikes out. First out recorded by the Reds. There's the center fielder tonight, Ricky Ankiel. Average at .234 with 8 homers and 31 driven in. One out and a runner at second base. First pitch is a strike. Saw Ankiel pinch hit last night and popped out to end the 8th. 3-0 Cardinals here in the bottom of the 1st. Hit in the air, playable, foul territory, and caught. Catch made by Drew Sutton for the 2nd out. Brings in the 3rd baseman Mark DeRosa.
He's had an RBI in 10 of his last 20 games, 11 total. We remember he got the game-winning RBI when he was hit by a pitch in New York.
That's right. Phillies in the bottom of the 2nd at Wrigley Field with a 2-1 lead over Chicago. Swing and a miss by DeRosa. In St. Louis, hitting .226 and overall his average at .259. Would have thought a few years ago that Mark DeRosa would be a 25 home run guy, but he'll probably wind up right around there this year. 0-1 pitch.
Hit 21 home runs a year ago for the Cubs, and DeRosa now has 21 home runs combined. 13 with Cleveland, 8 with the Cardinals, and I might even think that it might go beyond 25.
Here's the 0-2. DeRosa swing and a miss, but a big inning for the St. Louis Cardinals. They get 3 for Carpenter. 3-0 after an inning. Cardinals 0-1-1 for the Cincinnati Reds and a 3-0 Cardinals lead here in game 3. And our key to the game is Chris Carpenter. Since the All-Star break, 5 starts, 4-0 record, ERA that is under 2. Look at the strikeouts, 23 in those 5 starts, only 6 walks. That's why he's considered one of the best in baseball.
And you know, Dan, he's not obsessed with striking out people either.
Good to see Whitey Herzog here at the ballpark, and don't forget about his golf outing coming up September 13th and 14th at Forest Hills. And if you'd like to take part in that golf tournament, he's got a bunch of former players coming in. The number to call is 314-504-7981. Again, that number 314-504-7981. Forest Hills, September 13th and 14th.
And he always has a theme, and this year it's kind of his closers and key relief guys. So he's got about 12 premier relievers that pitch for him.
There's a strike to Vladimir Valentin. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Will 3 runs be enough for Carpenter tonight? He got him. First strikeout for Chris Carpenter. Now, you mentioned the strikeouts, and Carpenter be the first one to tell you that as he has gone along in his career, he knows to stay in games, to get deep into games. It's really not necessary to pile up all the strikeouts. They're nice, they're gaudy, but put the ball in play and let your defense do the work.
When you're young, you fall in love with the strikeouts, and you realize your pitch count gets up there. You get a little smarter, you get a little older, you try and get guys out on the first couple pitches. And if you get to 2 strikes, and you know, and they want to take a pitch right down the middle, get a strikeout, or if they come up empty swinging at one of your outstanding pitches, so be it. But the mindset really is to pitch to contact and get guys out in the first couple pitches.
The trades have certainly helped this team. When you talk about Holiday and DeRosa and Lugo,
but that's swing.
But to me, it's this guy. He is the key in his health to this season.
Not only that, Dan, but you know, he just, everybody feeds off of him. Whether it's the defense, his offensive team, they relax because they know they don't have to get many runs. He can turn it into a victory. But his teammates, you know, especially his pitchers, they all fall in love with it. They love it because they learn watching the master.
So that's 2 strikeouts. Brings in Drew Sutton, playing third base.
You know, the ability to throw any one of your pitches at any point in the count. And you know, you get these major league hitters freezing them on fastballs, then you get a breaking ball. They just don't know what you're going to see. There's no predictable. And really, if you think about it, you better be ready for the first pitch that you see in the strike zone. Sutton's a switch hitter. Batting 167, very limited play from the left side.
And 185 overall. Here comes an 0-1 pitch. Nasty breaking ball.
He was acquired from the Astros to complete the Keppinger trade in spring training.
Phillies now lead it 4-1 early in their game against Chicago. Pedro Martinez making the start for the Phils. Carpenter trying to strike out the side here in the second. The curveball bounced in the dirt. We talked about it, but you love the fact that at any point in a game, runners on, bases empty, doesn't matter. You feel comfortable bouncing that ball in the dirt with Molina behind the plate.
At this level, you have to be able to feel confident.
There it is again as he blocks it and will apply the tag to Drew Sutton. Carpenter strikes out the side. Three to nothing Cardinals as Carpenter strikes out the side in the top of the second on 12 pitches. Let's take a look at our pitch by pitch feature presented by Chevrolet.
We're going to show you the strikeout pitches, and there you see a fastball. Catches him looking. Now watch this one. Breaking ball. That gets Gonzalez. Then Sutton comes up here and he swings at one that bounces. But that's the ability of Carpenter to control the strike zone, to go out there and throw any of his pitches for strikes at any point in the count.
Chris Carpenter is having a conversation with Dave Duncan right now. Those two went down the steps. And the first pitch grounded by Molina to third. One away. So the first man retired here in the bottom of the second. Cardinals with a 3-run lead as they've knocked out the starter Homer Bailey. It was odd about Bailey leaving the game, and again, we don't know the extent of the injury, but he wasn't limping. He didn't go down after he was hit, and didn't even try to throw a pitch to stay in the game.
Dan, it looked like it and sounded like it got leather on the instep, and maybe even the sole of the shoe. But I mean, if that catches the ankle, I mean, he's down writhing in pain, and he's like being shot by a rifle. But to not limp off and not try to stay in that game, it's a little bit surprising, and I would have to say disappointing for Dusty.
Up and in to Carpenter. 2 balls and no strikes.
The Reds better hope he's smiling.
You saw that graphic where the Reds have given up a ton of runs this year in the first inning, and they've added to it tonight with 3. First 4 in the lineup for the Cardinals reach base with Schumacher, Ryan, and Pujols, and then a double by Holiday. Pujols a base hit, then an error on the first baseman, rather the pitcher, excuse me, and the throw to first, and 2 runs came around to score. This is popped up into shallow right. And the catch made by Brandon Phillips, a former Gold Glover. It's been a long year for Dusty Baker. Much of that due to the fact that they have not been healthy. Homer Bailey, you have to wonder about what happens after tonight. Johnny Cueto hurt himself the other day against the Cardinals. Scott Rowland after the acquisition. Owings, who has been a pitcher and a pinch hitter for him. Ramon Hernandez and Jay Bruce. Bruce is a big loss for them.
That's just last month, and they've had 6 Reds players have had surgical procedures this season, including Ramon Hernandez, cleaned out his left knee. Gonzalez, loose bodies in his elbow. Mike Lincoln, cervical disc replacement.
Here's a ground ball to second. Phillips there to Votto. And we played 2 here at Busch Stadium. 3-0 St. Louis. And this was Brad Thompson earlier today.
Yeah, it looks like a Blue Merle, Australian Shepherd.
And that's Nicholas, the aforementioned pet. Hope you take advantage of that. Swing and a miss by Craig Tatum. It'll be Tatum, Bailey, or rather pitcher spot, excuse me, Fisher, and Dickerson. One ball, 1 strike. Astros all over the Marlins, 13-3. That's in the bottom of the 4th. Phillies a 4-1 lead in their ball game over Chicago, and San Diego, Milwaukee, after all those changes, tied up 1-1. That's in the 3rd. Fair ball. DeRosa gloves and throws, makes the play. If you're traveling and can't catch the Cardinals TV broadcast, catch all the action on your computer at MLB.tv. Catch over 100 live out-of-market games per week. For complete details, visit STLCardinals.com. That's where baseball is always on.
Reds might have in some way caught a break, as Fisher looks like he's got pretty good stuff.
I mentioned the numbers before and how he's pitched lately, and it's been very good for Cincinnati. I remember earlier this year we saw him right after he was called up here at Busch Stadium, and it seemed like he could not get anybody out. He really struggled that time out, and we talked with Dusty and some of the other folks with the Reds, and they said they like him. It's going to take some time. A swing and a miss by Fisher, and Carpenter picks up his 4th strikeout tonight. Well, you look at Carpenter and Wainwright, we talk about it, Al. Fact is, these 2 guys, if you get into postseason play, very tough matchup for any team out there. 1-2.
Well, Cardinals would not be afraid to match up against anybody's 1-2. And then I think the way Pinero's pitched this year, you can take that to the 3rd spot. And usually that's all you need in postseason. For the off days, you only need about 3 starters.
You think about the starters, and you also have to have a good closer. As we saw with Wainwright, as he was tremendous down the stretch in 06.
I'll tell you a little secret. You know what helps make a good closer? Having a couple setup men.
And right now, as you talked about with Jim in the pregame show, that's one of the things that the Cardinals have looked at, maybe adding some depth to their bullpen. When you say that, it's mostly from the right side because their 2 lefties have done a nice job, Reyes, and you think about Trevor Miller, he's almost unhittable, it seems like, against those lefties.
Yeah, but you always are trying to look and see how you can improve your ball club. Even when you're not able to make a deal, you never stop the effort.
One ball and 2 strikes. First time through this lineup. Carpenter struck out 4 and allowed a base hit to Votto. That's it. Looks very good tonight. There's a ground ball. Pujols ranging to his right. Backhands across his body and safe at first. Right there, that's one of those plays where you wonder if it's beneficial for Pujols to stay put at first. But again, that is something that you don't mind the aggressive play of Albert.
Well, especially when you're going to get your pitcher hurt. And Barry Weinberg, and we kind of speculate a little bit, throws behind, but watch this effort. You know, he doesn't have the ball, but yet he's still the athleticism and the competitive nature. He's trying to tag the runner out. Or he does have the ball and just misses him, but look how hard he hits there. And we've kind of speculated whether he was having a little, you know, stiffness in his back or something, but you wouldn't know it by the way he's pitching. That play right there is much easier for Albert to stay at the bag. Schumacher makes that play easy, and it's a you know, relatively easy out.
Check on Dickerson over at first. He's got good speed. Had a couple of base running errors though in game 2 of the series, but did not come back to haunt the Reds. So 2 outs and a runner at first. DeRosa is playing in over at third. Good speed of Willie Taveras. Have to watch out there. Trying to bunt his way on. That's a strike. Every time I see Carpenter do something like that, I get nervous. I think every fan in this stadium feels that way, or watching on television. It means so much to this team.
I just kind of looked at, it just looked like Schumacher was right there to make that play, and if Albert just stayed in the bag, but he ranges farther to his right than anybody I've ever seen. Wow. I thought for sure Molina was going to get another pickoff there.
It was Dickerson. It looked like he was starting towards second.
That's what I thought. He was trying to steal, and then he stopped when he felt like he didn't have a good jump. And Carpenter, for a guy that's as tall as he is, he's very difficult to steal off. This combination is very, very, very good for the Cardinals.
That's hit out of play. 1 ball and 2 strikes. 2 outs and a runner at first. More bad news for the Nationals. Jordan Zimmerman, Tommy John surgery.
Right. And there was a guy that they were going to shut down in about 150 innings.
That's right. There's a swing and a miss and a strikeout. Number 5 tonight for Carpenter. He looks sharp. Brendan Ryan leads it off, followed by Pujols and Holiday when we come back. During tonight's game, you can chat with Fox Sports Midwest announcers and other Cardinals fans via our Cardinals Live blog, and find it on our webpage at foxsports.com/Midwest. It's quite a look, quite a shirt. And here we go in the bottom of the 3rd. And a 3-0 St. Louis lead. Here's a first pitch to Brendan Ryan and a strike at the knees. Ryan, first time up, singled and scored. Came around on a throwing error by Homer Bailey.
Schumacher and Brendan Bowl took inside-out pitches, went to the opposite field.
Here's the 0-1 pitch to Brendan. Taken a little bit high.
Now Fisher's many times he's gone multiple innings, but we'll see how deep he can go into the game.
Let me throw a name at you, Al, and see if you would be interested in this. John Smoltz. 42 now.
As a reliever. Is that why you're thinking that way?
I guess I could look at it either way. And you're talking about depth, your bullpen, and you got a guy that obviously has experience in both.
Future Hall of Famer, and both as an outstanding starter and closer. I would have to see him pitch. I mean, I was thinking about something other than John Smoltz, and I know the Cat would never agree to that because he has all the faith in the youth. John Mozeliak was on record of telling you right now he's not interested, as you're trying to spend everybody's money.
It's funny you say that, as Brendan Ryan grounds out. Every Cardinals win during this homestand against the Reds and Padres, you can take $6 off Lowe's box seats for the Astros series August 25th, 26th, and 27th. The Cardinals win tonight and then sweep the Padres. Tickets will be just $4, so stay tuned and save. The Cardinals are 1-1 so far. How high will the discount go? For more information, visit STOCardinals.com. Ran into a member of the front office and I asked him, how about John Smoltz? And they said exactly what you tell me all the time. You're good at spending other people's money. I said, you must have been talking to Al. I said, absolutely I am. Base hit for Pujols, first time up, and came around to score. I think for any team that's in contention, I mean, certainly it's at least discussed and talked about if you're looking for depth or looking for somebody in the back end of your rotation. I mean, it's hard not to say, hey, John Smoltz is out there. Let's not even take a look at him or discuss it. Have it come up in conversation.
Right. And, you know, if I've seen acquisitions, I won't even have to say, you know, necessarily trade, but acquisitions that are made even in September, just trying to get you to postseason, knowing they won't be eligible.
There it goes. 38 for Albert Pujols. 38 home runs, no doubt about it. 4-0 Cardinals, and he's 2 for 2.
Albert with 2 hits tonight. That was the total he had in his last 20 home plate appearances. But look out, he's got an 8-game hitting streak. He's now 15 for 30. And home run last night, again here tonight, and just adding to this Cardinal lead.
Boy, that got out in a hurry. Woof. Shaq better be ready for that. Here's Matt Holliday.
Apparently, Albert has to hit the ball out of T.R. Hughes, his regular dimensions, but fences will be moved in for Shaq. I wonder if it's behind the infield.
Good luck.
I still would go for it.
This is a birthday present for Ryan Mooney. Ryan Mooney, big Cardinal fan, turns 4 today, and he gets an Albert Pujols home run. Our Hot Shots Exmo Cam, happy birthday to Ryan Mooney. One of his favorite players is Albert Pujols. Quite the birthday present. Long home run off the bat of Albert. 2 balls and a strike. 38 home runs, 102 RBIs. The 2-1 pitch. Holliday pops it up and foul. 2-2.
How low will those ticket prices go for the Houston series? I think they're $34 seats.
Right.
$34 seats. They've already been discounted $6 with Monday night's victory. And for every Cardinal victory on this homestand, they get discounted another 6.
Swing and a miss by Holiday. He struck out twice last night, and this evening he's 1 for 2 with a double. And it brings in Ludwig. It's Fisher's 3rd strikeout tonight.
Holiday was the first man Fisher faced, and he hit the RBI double, and then Ludwig was a strikeout victim. He'd retired 6 in a row before Albert's home run.
4-0 St. Louis. Strike at the knees. You think we've really seen Pujols, Holiday, Ludwig, DeRosa
No.
all click at once?
No, we have not.
And yet the results are there. This team has had come from behind wins, which tells you that in any inning they can score runs. And the trades obviously have helped that.
But it's really the pitching staff that has held the team together.
Ludwig with a base hit into center.
Just remember, Dan, even the times that they had to come from behind, is you had to have good pitching to hold the opposition down to while you started pecking away and got in position to win a game from behind. Already this Cardinals' 6th hit. 3 off of Bailey, 3 off of Fisher now.
Here's Rick Ankiel. Ankiel popped out to third his first time up. Big gap in right center field. He hits it right to Votto. Couldn't hit it any harder. And hits it in to the glove of the first baseman. Albert Pujols measured distance 394 feet. Don't blink, you'll miss it. Carpenter back to work. The Cardinals have added to the lead. It's 4-0 as we move to the 4th. Joey Votto now trying to get the feeling back in his hand. Boy, that ball was ripped off the bat of Rick Ankiel. Hit into some tough luck. 1-0 pitch. Votto has one of the 2 base hits that Carpenter has given up tonight. Chris Dickerson the other. 1 ball, 1 strike. Votto here, then Phillips and Ballantine.
Monday night, St. Louis, or here in St. Louis, Votto snapped his career high 0 for 15 skid. He is by far their best hitter. He's hit about 285 since returning from the disabled list.
And a strikeout of Votto. That's 6 now. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Kia Motors. To learn more, visit kia.com. By the Casino Queen Hotel and Casino, home of the loosest slots. And the new 3rd pound Angus burgers are here. Try one for yourself today, only at McDonald's. Six strikeouts for Carpenter. 1 out, nobody on, and here is Brandon Phillips. Look at that pitch.
And he can throw a variation, changing speeds of that curveball. I can't think there'd be too many advanced scouts that would be sending a report that would be favorable for their team. How about that one? Doesn't get the call, but pitch inside to keep them honest so they can't dive over the plate.
Tied him up with this pitch in on the hands.
You always talk about, you pitch inside for effect. You run it in on them, and then you can get them out of the way, but here we're going to repeat it back inside.
Hit to DeRosa, makes the play easily. Everything you knew about fantasy football is about to change. Introducing the all-new Fox Fantasy Football with more customized features and new ways to play. You log on to foxsports.com on MSN and join the next generation of fantasy football. Ballantine struck out his first time. Carpenter 6 strikeouts, only 2 hits allowed. Only 1 ball out of the infield, I believe. That was the base hit by Votto back in the first.
Right, and the other hit by Dickerson was an infield single that.
Oh, 1 pitch. 0-2.
You're a young pitcher. You just watch and study how Carpenter handles himself on the mound.
Back to Carp. Another easy inning. DeRosa, Molina, and Carpenter coming up. 4-0 St. Louis. Our friends call us the Shack, Radio Shack. What do you know? The only 2 pitchers to throw a no-hitter in their first career start were in the 19th century. Ted Breitenstein in 1891 and Bumpus Jones in 1892. Who could forget? Mark DeRosa leads it off for the Cardinals. DeRosa, Molina, and Carpenter.
It's one of the Jones twins.
I guess you didn't forget.
Oh, no.
0-1 pitch to Mark DeRosa. Boy, how good does Carpenter look tonight?
Outstanding. I mean, you just get that feeling. Anytime he takes the mound, you know, you just, it's a little extra energy, and all his teammates, you just feel like you take the field and you know you're going to have a victory.
And DeRosa chases a ball and strikes out for the second time. Fisher has 4. Spend the night under the lights of Busch Stadium when the Cardinals campout returns Friday, September 25th, courtesy of Bass Pro Shops and Tracker Boats. For tickets, call 314-345-9000 or visit stocardinals.com/campout. Here's Molina.
Dusty hates to see his young starter go out after only 3 batters, but I think he has to be very pleased at what he's seen from Fisher.
I don't think there's any doubt. He's pitched quite well.
Big pole. See Fisher, he's got something to work with. He's got a good fastball. He's got that breaking ball, and stretch him out a little bit.
Oh, and 2 the count, 1 out, and nobody on here in the Cardinals half of the 4th. Cardinals picked up 3 runs in the first and 1 in the 3rd. They lead it 4-0. First 4 reached against Homer Bailey and Fisher, as Bailey only lasted 3 batters, did not record an out, as he took a line drive off his foot, it looked like, when Albert Pujols was at the plate. Threw a total of 12 pitches and was through for the night. And this is important here. We talk about guys when they come into the game and being effective. Well, in this case, you're looking for Fisher to chew up some innings to make sure your bullpen can stay semi-rested. A catch made by Dickerson. So this becomes a chance, if you're Fisher, really to make a statement for yourself.
Absolutely.
Big 12 football returns to Fox Sports Midwest in September, but we're getting ready for football now with an early look at the Missouri Tigers. Mizzou football preview special airs tomorrow at 7 on Fox Sports Midwest. Gary Pinkel and the Tigers. No more Chase Daniel. Different look this year, and we'll have a couple of those games on Fox Sports Midwest.
First 3 years for Fisher, he started through the minor leagues. Last year they converted him to relief role.
And an 0-1 pitch. Chris Carpenter, first time up, popped out to second base. Here's a 1-1. And Carpenter hits it off the end of the bat out to left, and the catch made by Dickerson. 5th inning rolls in when we come back to Busch Stadium.
It's all Chris Carpenter and the Cardinals 4-0 here in Cincinnati. Saturday afternoons were made for baseball, and this week Fox brings you the national game of the week as Ryan Howard and the NL East leading Phillies head to Atlanta to take on Chipper Jones and the Braves. Fox Saturday baseball this week at 3 p.m. Central on Fox. Mention all Chris Carpenter. He has struck out 6 through 4 innings. He's only allowed 1 ball to reach the outfield. That was a base hit by Joey Votto and an infield single by Dickerson. This is Alex Gonzalez. He was a strikeout victim back in the 2nd inning. And Carpenter just punching and throwing up strikes. He's thrown 58 pitches. 44 have been strikes. And there you see, 2nd time through the order, it gets better. And then once you get into the 7th inning, he knows how to close out a victory. Carpenter's already beaten Cincinnati twice this season, and in fine fashion. Ever since he's come to St. Louis, he has been nothing but a winner. His winning percentage as a Cardinal, or St. Louis, is 80-36 in games he's started. His ERA is under 3 as a Cardinal, and he currently has a 6-game winning streak. And Dan, Chris Carpenter came in tonight leading the major leagues in ERA and is not disappointed. It's down now to 2.19.
2.19, and you think about it, he's got a chance to be certainly in the conversation now for Cy Young Award.
There's no doubt about it. Is, you know, with the victory here tonight, he'd be 12-3, leading the major leagues in ERA. Have a little competition from Wainwright, and you just, of course, you don't want to split the vote, the St. Louis vote.
Right. This has popped up. Just haven't seen many comfortable swings against Carpenter tonight. Schumacher makes the play. How about the play by Skip Schumacher last night? And it just kind of went under the radar. Great ratio there, as you see the graphic with Carpenter, but him with talking about Schumacher is back to the infield, making the catch and then throwing a strike to home plate.
Well, that's what I said. That's where he reverts back to his outfield play. And, you know, any time a ball's hit in the air, Schumacher is extremely comfortable. And that time he showed you by his turning around and then showed you that superior arm strength, the outfield arm, firing that strike to the home plate.
DeRosa over and out of room.
You know, you touched on something earlier that Dusty Baker promises that his team's going to play hard, and that's why, you know, on paper it's really an advantage to play teams that are under 500, but sometimes you play down to their level and they're playing hard, and you kind of, you know, assume you're going to have a loss. But that's one of the great advantages of Tony La Russa and his staff, is they really know how to push you and don't ever let the Cardinals relax.
0-2 the count with 1 out. Pitch that's blocked in the dirt. 1 ball and 2 strikes with 1 out and nobody on. Love to talk to Dusty when he finally says it's over for him and he decides to retire. Get his thoughts on being a manager in Chicago and trying to guide the Cubs to postseason play. The meat grinder that it must be, and the pressure that you probably feel there, more so than maybe some of the other places that you can manage in the country. This date in baseball history, with 2 down in the top of the 5th, Stan the Man announces he will retire at the end of the season back in 1963, in a sad day, no doubt, for Cardinal Nation, or Schnooks, this date in baseball history. Easy for DeRosa. Carpenter is cruising tonight. 2 hits allowed through 5. Top of the lineup coming up, 4-0. It's time to bring you up to speed with the AT&T Rapid Rewind. AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. All Cardinals so far tonight, and it's a 4-0 lead for Tony La Russa and the Redbirds. Top of the lineup here in the bottom of the 5th. Skip Schumacher leads it off. He's 1 for 2. Brendan Ryan 1 for 2, and Albert Pujols is 2 for 2.
Phillies are having a little fun tonight. Currently batting in the top of the 4th inning, leading the Cubs 12-1.
And Skip hits it in the air down the left field line, slicing foul and out of play.
And look who's at the plate, Pedro Martinez. So he must be pitching well. Gave up a run, I believe, in the 1st inning, but he's the beneficiary of a lot of run support, as Samardzija made that start.
Here's a 1-1 pitch. 1 ball and 2 strikes. That was his first start after 42 appearances out of the bullpen for Samardzija. Hit to right and a base hit for Skip Schumacher. Six is a serious number. When the Cardinals score 6, you get a 20-ounce coffee, fountain, or frozen drink for just $25 the next day at On the Run at Mobile. Win or lose, Cardinals score 6, you score 25-cent drinks at On the Run.
Shane Victorino may be on his way to hitting for the cycle. That game in Chicago, he's already got the home run and triple out of the way.
And they're only in the 4th.
Yeah.
Phillies batted around in the 4th inning. Pedro Martinez, by the way, made 2 of their 3 outs in that inning. Brendan singled and scored in the 1st on the throwing error by their starter tonight, Homer Bailey, who lasted all of 12 pitches. Brendan trying to bunt.
Janice and Bill Craig from Newburgh, Indiana, here celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary. It's a gift from their 3 children, longtime Cardinal fans since the late 40s. They remind us that Southern Indiana is a hotbed for Major League talent. Gil Hodges, Don Mattingly, Andy and Alan Bennis, Amy Carolyn, not only Scott Rowland. So congratulations to the Craigs.
Here's the 0-1 pitch. Up the middle, base hit. I'll take that over that missed bunt for Brendan Ryan. 1st and 2nd, nobody out. Gotta wonder how much longer Fisher can last in this game.
And it looks like his leash is running a little bit thin as Dick Pohl will come out and visit. And you've got a reliever warming up.
Pujols is, yep, that's Burton, and Pujols is homer tonight. Solo shot, his 38th, and also RBI single with a run scored back in the 1st as well.
Pitcher's spot is due up first in the top of the 6th inning for the Reds, so they're trying to get him through it, but he's got to go through the heart of the order.
First and 2nd, nobody out.
Off-speed pitch. Pujols hit for his 38th home run of the year.
All eyes on Pujols here. The 0-1 pitch. Bounced, and Schumacher staying put at 2nd base. See that a lot with Albert, don't we, Al? When pitcher in particular with Albert Pujols at the plate try to overthrow that breaking ball a little bit. They bounce it.
Two things happen. You either overthrow it that way or you get underneath it and got a frisbee. Neither one of them are very good.
Great numbers with runners in scoring position this year. The 1-1 to Albert Pujols. Here it comes. And like you said earlier, Pujols gets those calls.
Right. You know, it's not something that's new. Superstars always get borderline pitches, especially in their home ballpark. Fastball on the inside part of the plate went Albert's way. There's a fastball down and away that is taken for a ball.
A 2-1 pitch to Albert. In the air to center field. So Albert throws his bat.
And Albert
now kicks it.
A little upset because he knew he got a hanging breaking ball, but got underneath it and popped it up. That happens too.
Holiday has doubled tonight as an RBI, is 17th with the Cardinals, and also struck out back in the third. Fisher has struck out 4.
One of the things I like about what I've seen from Fisher is for a young pitcher, you know, he's pitching aggressively, throwing 57 pitches, 40 of them are strikes.
First and second with 1 out. Holiday bounces it left side. Diving stop by the shortstop. No play as Gonzalez saves a run from scoring. Good play there by Alex Gonzalez.
You know, Holiday gets his fair share of infield hits. You know, usually hits the ball hard, they'll go through, but then he'll hit some of these numbers, and then he's hustling all the time. This is just well placed. And there's no way Gonzalez can pop up. His only play was to hope that Schumacher would round third base, but the third baseman went after the ball, so if he threw it there, he'd be throwing it to Oquendo.
So bases loaded for Ludwig, who does own a grand slam earlier this year against Kansas City. Ludwig with a strikeout and a single tonight. Schumacher started the inning with a base hit. Brendan Ryan a single up the middle. He's at second base. And following the Pujols flyout, infield base hit for Matt Holliday. And Dusty Baker looks like he'll make a double switch upcoming.
Looks like Rosales will go in to play third base, and Burton will come in here. So Ludwig will be batting with the bases loaded, and only 1 out with the Cardinals leading 4-0. Our Chevy call to the bullpen. Jared Burton will take over. What's on tap? Well, we'll be back here Friday night as San Diego will be in town. Padres will take on the Cardinals here on Friday night, 6:30 p.m. Cardinals live right here on FS Midwest. Tony and Dave Duncan have to be very pleased what they see from not only Chris Carpenter, his shutout pitching, but this offense. Already 9 hits. 4-0 lead, and threatening here with 1 out and the bases loaded to blow it open.
Jared Burton in for the 33rd time. Burton is the pitcher. Rosales comes in at third, and Sutton leaves the ball game. Opponent's hitting .304 against Jared Burton, and he'll face Ludwig here with the bases loaded and just 1 out. So a chance really to bust this game wide open. The Cardinals about hit Cincinnati 9-2, and they lead it 4-0. Last grand slam for the Cardinals was Albert Pujols at Citi Field, and the 1 grand slam for Ludwig against the Royals at Kauffman Stadium. First pitch is a ball. Fisher 4 1/3 out of the bullpen tonight. 2 balls and no strikes.
Coming alive. Burton had a stint on the disabled list with right shoulder fatigue.
And he walked him. 5-0 St. Louis. 4 pitches and a walk out of the bullpen. And Burton makes it 5-0 with that walk. Schumacher scores the 5th run.
73rd RBI for Ludwig. Schumacher scores his 2nd run. See if Van Keel can't join in a lot of fun. 6, 7, 8, and 9 have all been retired by the Reds tonight. They're trying to join the fun.
And Keel lined out last time up and has also popped out to 3rd. I'm sure when Walt Jocketty comes to St. Louis, it has to be mixed emotions for him. So many great years with Tony La Russa, and still many of the players that he drafted on the big league club or traded for.
Yeah, you always want, I'm sure he's pulling for those guys to do well when his Reds are not in town. But Red did a lot of great work here. A lot of division championships, couple National League pennants, World Championship.
Right field, catches made. Good throw in from right, and staying put Brendan Ryan. And Keel now 0 for 3. So Valentine makes the catch for out number 2 and the throw to the plate.
It's not really deep, and you see the strong throw. Usually O'Kindle will challenge everybody, but you have a feeling that he might have known a little bit about Valentine's arm.
I brought that up about Walt because one of the guys I think that I'm sure he thinks about a lot is Ricky Ankiel, with everything that those two have gone through. Ankiel, the remarkable story and position player with the Cardinals. Fouled back by DeRosa. 0 for 2 with a couple of strikeouts. The in-game box score for the Cardinals. You see the top of the lineup has done the damage.
I'm 4, trying to have a little fun. Carpenter, guided by Molina, have done their job. I don't think Mark's ever really experienced a year like this where he's had the 21 home runs, but he's just been struggling with the batting average at times.
Big gap in the left center field. 0-2. Got him. DeRosa struck out 3 times tonight. Sends us to the 6th. 5-0. This Sunday night at Petco Park in San Diego, the USA's best high school baseball players take national stage. The 7th annual Aflac All-American High School Baseball Classic. Craig Biggio will join the crew live. It's an HD broadcast. Game time is 7 here on Fox Sports Midwest. This is Rosales, who is part of the double switch to face Carpenter. And we're underway in the 6th inning, and the Cardinals own a 5-0 lead. 3 runs in the first, 1 in the 3rd, and another in the 5th for St. Louis. Rosales hitting .215. He made 2 starts in the first couple of games of this series.
49 games at AAA Louisville. He hit 349 in 30 games. With 8 doubles, 2 triples, 5 home runs.
Pitch count only at 71 here for Carpenter, and they've had 1 ball hit out of the infield. And Carpenter has struck out 7. The 2-1 pitch. Brendan Ryan with it, playing with so much confidence out there at shortstop defensively. North Star is making this Sunday extra special with the Ice Cream Sundays beginning 2 hours prior to the game in the Ford Plaza. Join us for music, fun, games, and don't forget the free ice cream while supplies last. North Star Ice Cream Sundays, and that's a busy day here at the ballpark. That's also the Fredbird Picture Frame Day and a Family Sunday, meaning terrace or pavilion reserved seat, and you get a free hot dog and soda with your purchase. Padres in town. First pitch is strike.
2 hits allowed. Votto got a legitimate hit, and then the infield hit by Dickerson, where Albert, I think, ranged a little bit too far.
Little check swing, and neither Schumacher or Brendan Ryan get to it. Could have been a collision there. It's a base hit.
I think a little bit of miscommunication, but talked about Brendan Ryan's tremendous range. And I think Skip thought that Brendan was maybe going to get to it. It's on the first base side of second, but Skip, you see, was thinking that, you know, he would have to backhand it, check and throw, and, you know, throw behind him. And if Brendan could get to it, you know, he'd have the play in front of him.
1 out and a runner at first. Line drive, base hit into center field. So base hit for Taveras. Good speed out there now for the Reds with runners at first and second. Brings in Joey Votto. 1 swing of the bat and the Reds could be right back in this game. Votto with 17 home runs. Singled back in the first and struck out swinging in the 4th. Carpenter with 7 strikeouts. We'll see the Reds one more time at their ballpark, the Great American Ballpark. Cardinals go on the road next week. 3 with the Dodgers, 4 with San Diego. We return home in a 9-game homestand for the Cardinals. Here's a 1-0 in the air to center field, and that's going to drop, and the throw quickly back into the infield. Ankiel making sure to keep that in front, play it safe. So 3 consecutive singles. All of a sudden we've got danger. Brandon Phillips will be the hitter.
This ball, you watch Ankiel, you thought for a minute he's going to get to it, but he really had no chance, and then he gets himself in position to throw. So Votto with 2 hits, but 3 consecutive here with 1 out, and Phillips up. He's 0 for 2, but we'll have to see if Carpenter takes his normal competitive self right now and just shuts down the Reds.
Bases loaded for Phillips. Curveball and a swing and a miss. I wonder too if Ankiel would have let one of those patented throws fly from center field to third, if they would have had a chance to get Dickerson in the force. Dickerson was kind of in between.
And it looked like, you know, the way Ankiel went after it, it looked like he had a chance to catch it, but it fell far in front. I mean, he really did not. And it looked like he was in position to throw to third, but then got it back to the cutoff man.
There's a shot into left center field. That gets down. 4 consecutive hits now. Ankiel's throwing to third, not in time. And advancing on the play, Phillips to second base. And here come the Reds. Base hit, 2 RBIs on the play.
Phillips breaking ball, and you can see it stays up a little bit, jumps out there. It's a single. He goes to second on the throw. Pretty close over there, but really not close enough. As a throw to the outfield side, and he slides into the infield side. Really no play for DeRosa.
Phillips RBI 73 and 74. One out, second and third, and that pitch is taken for a ball. See where Dickerson was playing it safe, making sure that the ball got down, and in doing so, Taveras caught right up with him. Those two score the first 2 runs of the night. Let's take a look here.
A lot of times that runner at second base, he's got the side angle so he can see whether it's going to get to the gap or not. And he just put his head down and took off. And Dickerson playing a little more conservatively. But both of them score easily.
And a 1-1. Ground ball foul. 1 ball and 2 strikes with 1 out, runners at second and third.
You don't often see 4 consecutive hits off of Carpenter.
Oh, we've seen that this year, the way he's pitched. Votto at third, Phillips at second. It's still only 1 out. Got him. 8 strikeouts for Carpenter.
That was one he needed. So he just paints the inside corner, and that was a pitch that the veteran Carpenter gets, where, remember, Albert, it was a ball to Albert.
Good point.
That's, you know, the Carpenter's established that, you know, I make those pitches, and he gets the benefit of the doubt.
1 ball, no strikes on the hitter, Alex Gonzalez. 4-hit night last night. Lance Nix is on deck.
Herrera warming up in the Reds bullpen.
And Burton's spot is on deck with Nix. Shallow center. Ricky Ankiel there, and he's got it. The Reds pick up their first 2 of the night. It's 5-2. Cabot Woodstained legendary performance. This stayed in baseball. 1974. Nolan Ryan strikes out 19, walks only 2 as the Angels top the Red Sox 4-2. Cabot Woodstained legendary performance. You are active in the Players Association now, at least you have been in years past. How well do you know Nolan Ryan?
Not that well. You know, I mean, I belong to the Bob Gibson theory that you did not talk to the opposition. So my experiences with Nolan have been, you know, relatively few in the days as a broadcaster. Now the president of the Texas Rangers.
Did players sit around and watch a guy like Nolan Ryan? You see Molina here, and just marvel at his, number one, longevity, and the fact that with that longevity he still was throwing extremely hard at the end of his career, and how he's doing it.
Well, that's it. I mean, he was an extremely hard worker, but to throw as hard as he did for as long as he did, you know, it's just a freakish thing. And I mean that in a very polite and positive way, a complimentary way. But you're just not, you know, your body's not designed to do that. But it really wasn't. When Nolan Ryan first came onto the scene with the Mets, he was a 500 pitcher, and you knew that, you know, he threw hard, but if you just hung with him, you were eventually going to get to him. And it wasn't until later on when he started developing the breaking pitches is when he became the real winner.
3-1 to count. All the strikeouts and the no-hitters that he piled up.
I believe 7 no-hitters.
First ballot Hall of Famer. A 3-1 pitch. Molina serves it into right, and the catch made. The St. Louis Cardinals, the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services, and Fox Sports Midwest have joined together to encourage young people not to smoke, because once you start, it's hard to stop. Strike out tobacco so we can all breathe easier. Call the Missouri Tobacco Quit Line. 1-800-QUIT-NOW.
To see if Pedro can, even with that big lead, if he can qualify for the win, get through the 5th inning. Got the bases loaded, 1 out. Cubs have scored 1 run, and still trail 12-2.
So if things stay the way that they are right now, the Cardinals would win, the Cubs would lose. Cardinals moved to 4 games in front of Chicago. Still a ways to go.
Yes, and even with Carpenter on the mound right now, you've got to think after that 2-run 6th inning by the Reds and 4 consecutive base hits that you'd like a little more breathing room.
Carpenter has been going deep into games recently. Just over the weekend went 8 innings. The one prior to that was the 3-1 win, 9 innings in that game. For the most part, he's been giving you all season long about 7 innings at least.
I believe, wasn't it, the complete game was when Ryan Franklin was unavailable. So do have the off day tomorrow, so you'd have to believe no one is out of the equation for tonight. Everyone available in that bullpen.
1 ball and 2 strikes. 1 out, nobody on. Inside on Carpenter.
Looked like a pretty good pitch there too.
Assisting us in the booth tonight, Matt Camp. First year at Missouri and interning with Fox Sports Midwest and David Corney and his staff.
Now, is he at the journalism school or the party school at Missouri?
One and the same. That is a fair ball. So Carpenter is retired. So good work by Matt Camp. Here's a look at Matt.
He's working hard tonight. Now, I don't understand it. Now, Matt doesn't get paid and Garcia does.
It's the way it works, Al. You've been really rough on Tim Garcia this year. Years past, I mean, you were rough, but not to this extent.
Dan, when you stop talking about someone, you know they're a lost cause. When you're still out there and you got faith that they can get the job done, you still talk about it.
You haven't said much about Tony West lately.
No, I mean, I was teasing one of the hardest working guys. I haven't had many visitors here, so he's had to work. There's
Big Dog.
T and Big Dog.
Here's a 2-0 pitch. Schumacher tonight. 2 hits, 2 runs scored. Cardinals lead it 5-2 in their half of the 6th. Doesn't chase. 3 balls, 1 strike. Tony was saying before the game in the interview with Mike Shannon about visiting with Red Shandies, and they thought it would be next year. And they saw him playing like he is this year.
Yeah, as comfortable at the second base conversion.
This gives you an idea of just how good of an athlete he is. To do this at this level is remarkable.
Well, and that's the point. He never play an inning in the infield as a professional, and because of his body and his athleticism, it made a little more sense, but it was another way to get his bat in the lineup every day. Probably would have been the 4th outfielder or an everyday second baseman.
Fly ball out to left. Dickerson there to make the catch. We head to the 7th. It's 5-2 St. Louis. Baseball tonight on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by AT&T. Switch to the nation fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. The Jeep summer clearance is here. Get to your Jeep dealer today for some of the best deals of the season. And by Taco Bell, your place to win tickets or a VIP ticket package to the Mizzou Illinois arch rivalry game. This is Johnny Gomes. He'll be the pinch hitter. Couple of innings of work from Burton, and we're underway here in the 7th. The Cardinals lead it by the score of 5-2. And quickly 2 strikes. To see how Carpenter reacts in this inning, Al, after he gave up the 4 base hits in the 6th and a couple of runs on one swing of the bat by Brandon Phillips, who now has 74 driven in. Not bad for a second baseman, huh?
No, and I think Carpenter will bounce back quickly. A lot of times, you know, you may have that 1 inning, and once he regroups, gets out of that inning, then he'll get that fire in the belly again and just start shutting people down. This is kind of like, you know, you get through 6 innings, then you get a mental countdown where you're counting the last 9 outs. Take them one at a time. 95.
He's hit 95 a couple of times tonight, and last night Jason Mott hit 89 a couple of times with a fastball. So I'm not sure if I believe the gun.
Now, Jason
that one
Mott,
at 96.
96. So I mean, you can see him rear back and giving it everything he's got now, closing it out for that's his 9th strikeout of the evening. So there's plenty of tank. Those 89s might have been the cutter from Jason Mott. Which sometimes my advice for Jason is remember what got you here, and that's a fastball.
So 9 strikeouts for Carpenter, backing up Schumacher, and makes the play, spinning in the outfield grass. Good play. Busch Bash All-Star Fridays feature prizes, live music, and a Cardinals player. And this season, each Friday game will feature a former Major League All-Star. And Friday, August 14th, 3-time All-Star Todd Worrell from 5:30 to 6:30. And the first 200 people in line will be guaranteed to get Worrell's autograph. For more information and tickets, visit STLCardinals.com.
It's been a nice little feature with the All-Star game here that Friday night it's always a former All-Star.
It's also tied in with the All-Star Banner Night this Friday, the 3x5 banner, which features some of the great Cardinals that have played in the All-Star game, past and present. It's a busy night here at Busch Stadium.
Likes of Ozzie and Red Shandy's, Whitey Herzog, Kenny Reitz, Jack Clark.
Right center, and Keel on the move. He won't get it. That'll go to the wall, and Rosales has a 2-out double.
It's the first extra base hit of the 7 hits for the Reds. And with 2 outs now, Dickerson has kind of been a little shot in the arm for the Reds offense since coming off the disabled list last night. A couple hits last night, again tonight. Might have to work on his base running.
The thing is, he's got good speed, but
I was funny. He was sitting in the cage, and I was talking with Dusty and Dick Pohl behind the batting cage today, and Dusty was saying, yeah, these guys get here because of their offense, but they don't know how to run the bases or play defense.
pretty true, isn't it?
Yeah, that's one of the aspects is, you know, they just only thing people look at is the batting average, and a lot of guys rush to the big leagues. Dick Pohl was saying he was the International League Pitcher of the Year, and the next year he got the chance to go right back to the same league.
1 ball, 1 strike. Two and 1 the count. We'll be in Cincinnati at the very end of September. On the outside corner.
Attacking both zones.
2-2 the count. Dickerson Grounded out to second his first time, and then a pair of singles. We mentioned it last night. Cal McCoy, Hall of Fame beat writer of the Dayton Daily News, retiring at the end of the season. He's been with the Reds and covering their team for almost 40 years, and this will be his final time covering the Reds here in St. Louis.
And he's kind of sad about that, and just a victim of what's happening around the country with a lot of newspapers, and they're going to stop their baseball coverage.
2-2.
I think 49 years of covering baseball, but almost 40 with the Reds, and very well respected.
Friday night after the off day tomorrow, San Diego in town, and Adam Wainwright will get that start. He's 13-7. Carpenter trying to pick up his 12th win tonight. A 3-2 pitch, runner at second base. Little chopper. Brendan Ryan will have to be quick. He gloves, throws, not in time. Infield hit.
Still a quick exchange, and fine play by Brendan Ryan, but Dickerson runs pretty well.
All of a sudden, tying run comes to the plate.
Hard to believe, isn't it? There you see the ball elevated. It's up over the middle of the plate, and kind of a little nubber. Nothing wrong with the defensive effort. It's outstanding, but Dickerson's speed allows him to get ahead of the throw. Third hit on the night. Second infield single.
Molina, slow walk to the mound, and here comes Dave Duncan, the Cardinals pitching coach.
And very quickly they've gotten Miller up. So if Votto is the on deck hitter now, I think the way things are going right now, it's hard to ever take Carpenter out of a ball game, but basically they're saying here's what we're going to do with Taveras. You're going to retire him, and we'll worry about the eighth inning, but you're not going to have a chance at Votto.
See the pitch count at 99 for Carpenter. 40,328 tonight, and it is another sold out crowd. Remarkable. Tell you what, we've been blessed with some great weather too. This has been a mild summer.
Been almost a perfect summer. One thing to make it a little more perfect, another postseason appearance.
Chance for the Cardinals to go 4 games up on Chicago. Cubs trailing 12-3 in the bottom of the 6th in their game. Taveras singled and scored back in the 6th. 2-0.
San Diego playing pretty good baseball right now as they've got a 6-3 lead and batting in the 7th inning over Milwaukee.
Padres 18 games below 500 on the road. 500 at home.
They're playing pretty good right now.
Yep.
Especially up there in Milwaukee.
2-0 pitch. 3-0. This is the guy to get right here. Dangerous Joey Votto on deck.
With 2 outs and runners in scoring position, Taveras only batting .133 this year and a .207 average against Carpenter. Takes the fastball right down the middle, and it was 3-0. You agree with me that you got to get Taveras out? Carpenter probably doesn't get to face Joey Votto.
Votto saw Miller last night, flied out to center on 1 pitch. But he hit the ball pretty well, and we don't see many lefties do that against Trevor Miller.
It was a breaking ball that maybe got a little more of the plate, but just a harmless fly ball to center field. And a 3-1 fastball right down the middle he takes.
Full count. He's only hitting .103.
And look at that. He looks like he's begging for a walk with 15 walks.
The 3-2. Got him. Struck him out. 10 strikeouts for Carpenter tonight.
Begging for a walk.
They leave Votto on deck. Fell behind 3-0, and Carpenter strikes him out. 5-2, the Cardinals have the lead, and we turn to the Infinity game recap. And how about Chris Carpenter? A lot of this tonight. 10 strikeouts for Carp, and none bigger than the last one, with Willie Taveras up representing the tying run. Chris Carpenter, the story of this ball game. The Cardinals lead it 5-2. Nick Massett is in for Cincinnati, his 45th appearance.
He's the one that gave up the home run to Albert in last night's ball game. And Dusty was talking about that pitch where he threw a good slider off the plate and then he tried to sneak a fastball. You just wonder now, because you get that strikeout and you have the 3-run lead, you allow him to go back out there. If Carpenter says, I want to go back out, that's good enough for me.
He's got 10 strikeouts, and that matches his season high. He did it at Milwaukee back on the 25th of May when he struck out 10 in a day game, you might remember.
And going off of memory, isn't his career high like 12?
I believe so. So it's
look it up.
It ties his season high. Two balls and no strikes on Brendan Ryan. Ryan, Pujols, and Holiday. I don't care what lineup a team has. If Chris Carpenter pitches like this, he will win.
I'm sorry, we were wrong. It's 13.
13, okay.
06 against Pittsburgh, at Pittsburgh.
So, Al, you had the lefty Trevor Miller, which it doesn't take him very long to get loose. He sits back down. Would it be a situation here where he would get back up with 2 outs, a couple of pitches, he'd throw in the bullpen, then come back in, or are we going to see Carpenter go back out there with 100+?
Well, that's it. I mean, you're absolutely right, because of what Trevor did before getting ready for Votto. It would only take him a couple pitches to be ready. But I think the scenario was, Votto at that time was going to be the tying run. We're now with a 3-run lead, but it looks like Trevor is going, or somebody is getting that back on the mound. It's like a right-hander. Is that McClellan? Kyle McClellan with the 3-run lead. You don't want to burn Trevor Miller for one guy.
Just in case, right?
Yeah.
So McClellan, St. Louisan, starting to get loose in the bullpen. Pujols is homered tonight. Here comes the 0-1 pitch.
Homered last night against Massett, and as I said, he started him off with a slider off the plate. He was fooled and kind of a swung, and then he tried to sneak a fastball by him downstairs and inside, and he hit the home run. There's the slider.
Go back to Albert Pujols in the 3rd inning. Hardy's prime cut of the game. 38 home runs now.
Has that ability to hit pitches up in the zone and put that level swing and hit them for line drives and have the power to hit them out.
Now in the top of the 7th, 12-3 Phillies over the Cubs. I mentioned before, and we kind of get sidetracked, but Dusty Baker and how tough that job must be at Wrigley Field, managing that fan base. They haven't won. They were so close with Dusty.
Well, that was the problem. Wasn't that in his first year?
Might have been.
And you tease the fans with the first year, and then they expected to win.
It was 03, and then they were close again in 04, but not that close.
And then and they're disappointed.
Pujols strikes out. Now Lou Piniella, been a frustrating year for him as injuries have caught up with the Cubs.
Remember Ramirez, how much they had a hard time filling his void when he was out with a shoulder injury and separation, and now he's out with the ailing shoulder. He did take a cortisone shot and probably is out until Friday.
And now I know it's been talked about a lot, but Holiday with a base hit. You go back to them not keeping DeRosa and adding Milton Bradley, and those kind of moves just haven't paid off.
Yeah, I talked to Piniella a long time about that the first visit there, and he was really kind of portrayed to me that he was not consulted on that. But remember, at that time they were looking for ownership and in order to add a bat, and they got the switch hitter Milton Bradley that didn't make a lot of sense to a lot of people around baseball, but they were trying to look for left-handed help, and they had to, you know, subtract payroll in order to add payroll. And remember, they got not only DeRosa, but they got rid of Jason Marquis.
Sure. Marquis, an all-star this year with Colorado, and baseball people will tell you that Milton Bradley is a very talented player, but
no doubt
it's the other side of things that come into play with Milton Bradley.
And now Trevor Miller has warmed up, so you see the scenario. He faces Votto and then McClellan for the right-handers.
So 2 outs and a runner at first, and a chance here for Ludwig. And a bases loaded walk to pick up his 73rd RBI. And also singled and struck out tonight. How about that? 73 RBIs, and again, compare his numbers to some of the other outfielders that have played more. Throw to second, and they got him. Halladay is out.
It's limping too.
Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Bud Light. With just the right taste, it never fills you up. The difference is drinkability. And by Bank of America. Cardinals banking only at Bank of America. Mentioned it's a season high. Matched it for strikeouts for Chris Carpenter with 10 tonight. Did that earlier this season at Milwaukee. 10 strikeouts for the Cardinals starter, and he's been lifted in favor of Trevor Miller. He will start this inning. Gorgeous night here in St. Louis and Busch Stadium.
Trevor's been just so good at retiring left-handed batters. You see, overall, opponents are batting under 200 against him. But with the last night when he retired Votto, the first man he'll face, left-handed batters now are 7 for 70, a 100 batting average. That's being effective.
5-2 Cardinals, top of the 8th. And the Cardinals starter was effective tonight, Chris Carpenter.
Not 8 hits, but only 2 runs, no walks, and the 10 strikeouts.
Mentioned that his career high is 13. He did that at Pittsburgh back in 2006. Cardinals took a chance on Carpenter coming back from injury, and boy, it has been remarkable to see what he has meant to this franchise over the years. When he's healthy, he is a true difference maker with this franchise.
I'll put it this way: when he's healthy, the team goes to postseason.
That's right.
When he's not healthy, they don't come close.
I remember talking to him right before spring training, and I said, are you open to the idea of being a closer potentially? Remember, at that time we didn't know, and some people thought that for him to physically be at his best, it might be best in the bullpen. And he said, I don't care. I just want to be healthy. One way or another, I have to show myself and prove to everybody that I can still pitch and be effective and be healthy and stay healthy. And the Cardinals medical staff felt that being in the rotation was the best thing for him.
Well, Carpenter and I frequent the same friendliest store in town, our Schnucks grocery store, and talking with Chris a couple times this winter, even after he had that little cleanup surgery, he felt great. And at that point, you knew that he was not thinking in terms that he was going to have to pitch out of the bullpen, because he felt so good. And when he went to spring training, that was resolved very quickly, because he was going to be able to withstand the wear and tear of the starting rotation and pitching every 5th day.
And he said people need to understand in the offseason, he said a lot of people are talking about me not throwing. He said I don't even begin to throw anyway around this time, which was about a month or so, month and a half before spring training. So that's how he's always done it.
Yeah, and you go into January with really doing a lot of core strengthening exercise, but not throwing until January. And that's the night is through for Trevor.
Good work. It's the dangerous Joey Votto and Tom McClellan coming in. 5-2 St. Louis. Good work by Trevor Miller. 1 out, nobody on. 5-2 St. Louis here in the top of the 8th. And this is Brandon Phillips, who has the 2 RBIs tonight for the Reds.
Realize he's up to 74 RBIs. Second baseman, 17 home runs.
Good pitch by Kyle. Been a season where McClellan's been used as guy in the 6th or 7th, and now he takes on the role of the 8th.
Yeah, I think it's important for fans to also know when Tony's talking about a veteran help from the right side, he's not disappointed in Kyle McClellan by any means. He just wants to add more depth. And Kyle, and last year the Cardinals Rookie of the Year, and tied for the National League lead with and holds. Hasn't had that many opportunities this year, but he still is that very reliable 7th, 8th inning guy. And sometimes you can stretch him out a couple innings. He did pick up his 2nd save on Sunday with an inning and 2/3 work.
Phillips, center field. 2 outs. Mercedes-Benz E-Class Attention Assist of the game. Here's Phillips, and nice play once again by Mark DeRosa, who's played a good third base since he's come over. Mercedes-Benz E-Class Attention Assist of the game. 2 outs and nobody on. Mark Taylor of the Cardinals wants to make sure that we pass along to moms and dads and kids out there. August 29th is a big day. It's photo night here at the ballpark, but it's also the Kids Crew Fiesta featuring Skip Schumacher. So you have a chance for a private party with Skip and some of his teammates. And they have open spots.
That's always a pretty cool event.
Tony La Russa does a question and answer session. Ask DeRosa. And to find out more, log on to stocardinals.com/kidsclub. And you can sign up right now, August 29th.
And usually several of Skip's teammates will help him on that kind of a day where they get to feel very special, come down on the field. Don't they have a picnic or something?
Yeah, they have all kinds of giveaways. You get a bag and a bobblehead and autographs.
But you know, even if you're, it's a real great deal if you start at the beginning of the season, because there's several nights with discounted tickets.
2 outs and a runner at first. And a strike.
If Kyle a few years ago was coming down to Busch Stadium, straight A student night or something like the Kids Crew, didn't have that then.
Ooh, up and in. He said his favorite memory, he was talking to me the other day about it, was 04 Jim Edmonds Game 6 National League Championship Series home run against Houston. Famous walk-off win for the Cardinals. One caught Molina, strike 2.
Dennis Reyes is warming up.
Here's a 1-2 pitch. Check swing, and he did not go.
Had Lance Nix at the on-deck circle, and Lance has hit 3 home runs against the Cardinals this year. He would represent the tying run if Gonzalez can extend the inning, so that's why Reyes is warming up.
The 2-2 pitch. Got him. Strikeout for Kyle McClellan. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest has been brought to you by Ameristar. More casino, more fun. Five to 2 St. Louis, bottom of the 8th here at Busch Stadium. And Ryan Ludwig will lead it off against Guy that's been around a long time, and he's been very effective and good. Arthur Rhodes. His opponent's only hitting 187 again this year.
And lefties are 127 for this appearance here tonight. It's his 48th of the year, but in his career, he is now 762, and he ties Armando Benitez and Kenny Rogers for 51st place on the all-time appearance list. Ryan Franklin warming up. So it appears that he will get the 9th inning.
First pitch to Ryan Ludwig. Swung on and fouled away. Ludwig with an RBI back in the 5th. Now with 73 this year. 5-2 Cardinals.
Franklin would be going for his 28th save in 30 attempts if this stays a 3-run lead.
And Holiday, another big night for the Cardinals. RBI double in the 1st and a couple of base hits to go along with that double. He's had 3 hits tonight. Talking about Matt Holiday, and I'll be very curious to see what kind of money he will command in the offseason. I mean, look at some of these teams financially.
That's it.
You know, they can't even come close to what he might be asking for.
There's only a handful that would be able to be in contention anyway. But with this economy, that's there's going to be several teams that are not going to be considering any high expenditure.
So he's got 9 3-hit games and already 5 of those with the Cardinals. Julio Lugo is on deck. Ludwig in the air to right field. I mean, just look at Toronto as a great example with Rios. You know, $60 million left on that contract, and they're just trying any way to get out of it.
And this is a young player that is still has his most productive years ahead of him.
Right.
And that's why the White Sox, you know, they pick up Peavy, they pick up Rios, so they're made the waiver claim on him. You know, it's going to be a very interesting, and we hope that the economy turns around quickly. Not because of baseball salaries, just for the baseball fans.
Yep. Lugo's been a nice addition. He'll be back next year. 311, couple of home runs. And he's driven in 13 this season.
She'll be the final year of his 4-year, $36 million contract. And the Cardinals will just be paying the minimum salary.
And you go back to Toronto and not dealing Roy Halladay. Why not? I mean, you got all that money left remainder of this year and next year. You're trying to get away from some of those contracts. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Here's the 0-2 pitch.
Yeah, if you're going to start unloading, you might as well try and get what you can, get the best deal available. And who's to say that somebody, you know, remember they said right away that we don't have to trade him, and somebody's going to have to overwhelm us. And who's to say somebody might do it after the trading deadline?
Lugo down on strikes. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the St. Louis Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Here's DeRosa. He's had a tough night at the plate, 3 strikeouts.
So you ready for a home run?
This is it, huh? Number 22 right here.
I mean, it's been, you know, we kind of documented it's been all or nothing as a Cardinal.
He wouldn't say anything. I mean, he's the consummate professional, but you have to wonder about his wrist and how much that has affected his play.
You're right about that. I mean, you know, he had a little issue earlier this week, and we talked about it with his kind of was diagnosed a few years ago as a bulging disc in his neck. He said that Dr. Paletta looked at it recently and said it's more of bone spurs and little fragments, you know, pressing on the nerves, and where his hands would go numb. He said it really affected him when he would feel a ball and he'd go to throw, and all of a sudden he had no feeling. Marking about the ball getting away out into center field.
DeRosa has been seeing a lot of fastballs too.
And that's a very good point, Dan, because, you know, many times when you have a hand injury, a wrist injury, you want to attack them with hard stuff. And, you know, not old days you would attack them up and in, but just the hard stuff, thinking that you can't get around on it.
And a 1-2 pitch. Fly ball into shallow right center field. The catch is made. The All-Star getting loose. Ryan Franklin. It's 5-2 Cardinals.
5-2 Cardinals lead as we go to the ninth at Busch Stadium. Coming up after the game on the post-game edition of U.S. Cellular Cardinals Live. Pat Paris and Rick Horton standing by. Carpenter's curve continues to sizzle. They'll look at his stuff tonight. Albert has another big game, and player reaction straight from the Cardinal clubhouse. It's all coming up after the game. For now, we send it back to Dan and Al.
All right, Jim, thanks. Ryan Franklin into the ball game, his 45th appearance. Looking for his 28th save. Look at that opponent's average only at 194. And I mentioned this the other night, how comfortable Tony La Russa feels with Ryan Franklin into the ball game. And it doesn't matter if Joey Votto was there or somebody hitting from the other side of the plate.
That's what he's going to face next, the pinch hitter right here. But his ERA is best among major league relievers at 1.23. Kobe Rasmus now in center field. Picked up his 27th save on Monday. And looking for 28th right here in 30 appearances or 30 opportunities.
And the first pitch is taken at the knees for a strike. On a hop and backing up, making a good play. Schumacher.
Good fundamentals right there. One out, 2 pitches, both strikes, and off day tomorrow. Got the luxury of using Franklin here again and be well rested for the weekend series against the Padres.
Franklin was with Cincinnati in 2006. I'm not sure anybody in baseball envisioned Ryan Franklin as a closer. Certainly, we didn't think about that when he first came to St. Louis.
Remember, he was a little down because he thought he was coming here to have a chance to compete for the starting rotation. But he found a home as a setup man, and now he's blossomed into an all-star closer. So been a great career change for him, moving to the bullpen. And if you're used on a consistent basis, that's a great place to be.
Tatum with 3 groundouts, 0 for 3.
You know, as a starter, you can pitch once every 5 days. But if you're a reliever and you have a prominent role like Franklin or a setup guy, that a left-handed specialist, you have a chance to pitch every day.
2-2. Trying to hold on for Carpenter. Trevor Miller has pitched in this game. Kyle McClellan. Cardinals can hold on. It'd be win number 64, and Chris Carpenter would have win number 12.
And they could move to 4 games up on Chicago as they are in the 9th inning, the top of the 9th, with Philadelphia leading 12-3 in Chicago.
3-2 pitch. Pulled foul.
Milwaukee is trailing 6-5 in the bottom of the 8th inning. If they lose that game, the Cardinals win, they'd be 7.5 games back. Houston won big at Florida. They would remain 7 back.
Pedro Martinez in that ball game, Al, went 5 innings with 3 earned runs. Struck out 5 in his return. 3-2 pitch. Rare walk by Franklin.
That is.
Take a look at our player of the game presented by Budweiser. Chris Carpenter, 7 innings, matches his season high with the 10 strikeouts. 8 hits, 2 runs, both were earned, and no walks.
And that's only the 9th walk allowed by Franklin in 44 1/3 innings.
The club's pitching core leads the majors with 14 games a season, which they have not walked a batter. That is so important.
And that was the first walk tonight. Cardinal starters lead the National League in innings pitched. That usually leads to a well-rested bullpen.
Cardinals have induced a major league high 109 double plays. Franklin would love that here and send us home.
Carpenter struck out 10. McClellan 1, but this is not a strikeout staff. So you do have a lot of double play opportunities. And up the middle, they've been very good.
Here's a 1-1 pitch. Rosales in the air to right. Ludwig there, 2 away. 40,328 here tonight.
1 out away from those reserve box seats or that are being discounted with every Cardinal win. They dropped $6, so a $34 ticket now will be $22 with this victory in outfield loge seats.
Here's Dickerson. 2 outs and a runner at first.
Giving the Reds second base, but Tatum hasn't taken it yet.
1-1 by Franklin. Here it comes. Just missed.
And the backdoor, the breaking ball.
Young Tony La Russa fan with the shades on.
Sunglasses for night. Can't read his eyes for give away the signs, huh?
Here's a 2-1 pitch to Dickerson. Ground ball. Albert has got it to Franklin. Another save, another Cardinal win. Cardinals win it. Now 64 wins this season and possibly a 4-game lead in the Central. 3-hit night for Matt Holliday. 5-2 the final tonight. Post-game show coming up.
Game is over with a Cardinal victory. Don't go anywhere. Rick and I are standing by with U.S. Cellular Cardinals Live, and great pitching, timely hitting, Albert Pujols homers. Tell me what you think.
Well, this will be a fun game to talk about as Chris Carpenter, the ace, does what he always does. Cardinals go back to +12.
They certainly do. Much more on that coming up on Cardinals Live. Plus, the rubber game between the Cardinals and the Reds at Busch, where the Redbirds able to win their 5th straight series at home. Chris Carpenter on the mound, as Rick mentioned. They certainly had a shot. We'll break down Carp's continued push for the Cy Young. Inside the Cardinal clubhouse for player action, we'll bring you Tony La Russa's post-game conference. Happy birthday, Sir Mix-a-Lot. Oh my God, Becky, look at it. U.S. Cellular Cardinals Live. It's just so round. It's just like out there. It's Cardinals Live, Ricky, and it's next on Fox Sports Midwest.
Sweet, I like it.
Welcome to U.S. Cellular Cardinals Live.
Albert Pujols providing the big blast tonight.
38 for Albert Pujols. 38 home runs. No doubt about it. 4-0 Cardinals, and he's 2 for 2.
Combine that with outstanding pitching from your ace, and it equals a 5-2 win over the Reds and a series victory for the Cardinals, as well as they take 2 of 3 from the guys from Cincinnati. And 40,328. Well, they leave tonight with smiles on their faces, and why not? The Cardinals have won 5 of their last 6, and with a Cubs loss tonight, they find themselves 4 games ahead in the National League Central. Hello, everybody. Welcome back inside Busch Stadium with Rick Horton. I'm Pat Paris. It is U.S. Cellular Cardinals Live, the post-game edition. Coming up, we'll go inside the numbers for Chris Carpenter, the ace of the Cardinals. Talk about his dominance of this National League Central. We're going to get player reaction, Tony La Russa's thoughts as well, and Rick's going to break down Carp's curveball. You do not want to miss that. It was very good tonight. Rick, your thoughts overall on, well, a series victory. You've got the Padres coming up this weekend after a day off. Things set up very nicely with a 4-game lead now in the division.
And a lot of smiles here at Busch Stadium as the Cardinals are playing very well in so many facets of the game. Tonight it was Chris Carpenter at 1.6 out of 8 batters. He struck out early on, really set the tone for this game. The offense in this game tonight was supplied by the first 6 guys in the lineup. No production 7, 8, 9. Actually, the first 5 guys, no production 6, 7, 8, 9 tonight for the Cardinals. Normally a balanced attack, but tonight it was all at the top.
Certainly was. They got off to a great start, and one of the guys that provided that is Matt Holliday. We're going to hear from him in just a moment. Let's remind you that you can get involved in tonight's program as well. If you got a question or comment, it's U.S. Cellular text time. Send us a text message, 432-432. Remember to include your first name, where you're texting from. Standard text messaging rates, of course, do apply. Right now, it's down to the field. Just a few moments ago was our Jim Hayes catching up with Matt Holliday, our Mid-America Chevrolet Dealers Player of the Game. Jim?
A 3-hit night for Matt Holliday. Matt, I guess, in the big picture, you put 3 on the board early with Chris Carpenter on the mound. Chances are good you're going to get a win.
Yeah, he looked really good tonight, too. He was especially sharp, I thought. They tied a couple hits together in that one inning, but other than that, he was dominant. And, yeah, you get 3 runs early and then 4 runs and then give him a little bit of cushion. You feel pretty good about your chances.
Anything you see from Carpenter now that you're a teammate, maybe a new appreciation for what he does?
He's got good stuff. I mean, there's just no way around it. When you got, a way above average cutter, he's throwing mid-90s today and a really good curveball. It's a tough at bat.
How about bouncing back tonight after obviously a disappointing game last night?
Yeah, it's good. We needed to win tonight. We needed to win this series and go into the off day, and looks like the Cubs might lose and give us another game, so it was a must-win.
I was going to ask you that. You peep at the scoreboard every now and then?
Sure. Yeah. It's getting mid-August. I want to play in the playoffs.
Matt, thanks a lot. Good job. Matt Holliday. Pat, we go back to you.
Jim, thank you very much. I love the honesty of Matt Holliday. Sure, they scoreboard watching. Gentlemen, the Cubs did end up losing, so it's a 4-game lead in the division. Dan and Al View from the booth join us now to put a wrap on it, guys.
Okay, good news. We were just saying the same thing. Nice to hear the honest answer there from Matt Holliday, and good defense behind Chris Carpenter tonight.
Well, when Chris Carpenter takes the mound, everybody knows how efficient he is, so the defense was always on their toes. And DeRosa made a nice play right over the bag, the long throw, but he wasn't the only infielder that got into the act. Schumacher has another strong performance. It's the outfield grabs, the spin and throw. Another one by DeRosa coming in here, gets the short hop and throws on the run. But Chris Carpenter was the story, picking up his 12th victory.
So Carpenter gets the win tonight. Our next broadcast will be 6:30 on Friday night. Then you have Wainwright going for win number 14. Guys, we'll send it back to you.
All right, guys, thank you very much. Let's get to the highlights of this one. And, well, you better have gotten in your seat early in this one because the Cardinals get to going early. Albert Pujols with a couple on. And he, hits it right off Homer Bailey, and that had to hurt. He leaves the game to Bailey after throwing wildly into right field. That allows Skip Schumacher and Brendan Ryan to score. It's 2-0 Redbirds, a hit and an error, so no RBIs for Albert. Bailey leaves the game with a left foot bruise. Carlos Fisher comes in to relieve Bailey, and Matt Holliday, well, he smokes one to right center relief. Tavares' attempt to diving catch, well, it squirts out, and Pujols scores easily on the double, 3-0. Bottom of third, Pujols up with bases empty. He's got the green light on 3-0, and why not? Always has the green light, Rick. He blasts his 38th homer of the season.
You only give the green light to somebody that understands the strike zone and is a patient hitter that will wait for the right pitch to swing out on 3-0.
And Chris Carpenter obviously doing a great job, and he mows him down. It's through Sutton, then Willie Tavares, and then Joey Votto. 6 Ks through 5 innings for Carp. Gets a round of applause.
Cheerleader, how about
Adam
that?
Wainwright. Cards up 5-0, but Carp runs in a bit of an issue in the 6th. Bases loaded for Brandon Phillips. Singles to center. 2 runs come in to score. Reds cut the Cardinal lead to 5-2. Gets out of that jam from there, but in another one in the 7th, runners on first and third, 2 outs. Tavares looks at strike 3. Carpenter, 10 Ks on the night. It's the 2nd time this season he's done that, and 8th time in his Cardinal career. And Carpenter goes on to post his 12th victory against just 3 losses. 5-2 the final. Again, those 10 strikeouts. The numbers for Carp are, well, mind-boggling. 7th straight winning decision for Carpenter. Now 7-1 at home, Rick. He also improves to 8-0 against the division. We'll talk more about that a little later on. Well, it's a win, it's a series win, and 4-game lead in the division. A lot of great things to talk about with tonight's ball game.
I was actually looking forward to seeing Homer Bailey pitch. Not that you want, one of their good young stars to actually have a good game, but really disappointed, and certainly he's a lot more disappointed than I am that he got hit by that line drive by Albert. Good to see that the X-rays were negative, and it appears he'll be okay. But 4 straight hits to start this game. He was in the shower in a hurry, which really put a damper on the Reds. The Reds have had so many injuries; they had to go to their bullpen early. They did a fairly good job of giving themselves a chance to win against Chris Carpenter, but Carpenter is just way too stingy.
Let's talk about that first inning as we await Tony La Russa's arrival downstairs. We'll bring that to him when he steps to the podium. First inning,
Boom.
first time since August 8th of 2007. They opened the game with 4 straight hits.
1 inside out, 1 way, 1 inside out swing. The other way, you got 2 runners aboard, and that's it for Homer Bailey as he's hit off the left foot with that line drive by Pujols, which ends up scoring 2 Cardinal runs. It's a single and then a 2-base error. Albert goes all the way to third. Those 3 straight hits to start that inning make it 4 when Matt Holliday comes to the plate. But here's the replay of the ball right off the left foot. And again, that could have been worse. Here's Holliday's drive through center field. This ball should have been caught. Bad route and bad hands, frankly, at that point by Willie Tavares, who does have a good arm. He's not a bad center fielder. Probably would like a chance to try to catch that ball again. But 4 straight hits. And again, that early cushion for Chris Carpenter is usually enough.
You would think that with a 3-run lead, then it was added to with Albert's homer, make it 4-0. This game had a lot of the same feel that the game had last night, in the sense that the Reds jumped out to that big lead and it was always trying to chip away. Well, the Reds get behind, the Cardinals get out to that big lead, and with Chris Carpenter on the mound, very difficult to chip away with the ace.
And it's difficult for the Reds to chip away without all their firepower in their lineup, including Scott Rowland. Another disappointment. Would love to have been able to see him play in this series. Of course, we knew he was around, but Scott Rowland has meant so much to this town for his contribution to Cardinal baseball, and I would love to have seen him get a few at-bats here in St. Louis, and I'd love to have heard the applause, and I know it would have been huge for Scott Rowland. The Cardinals have more firepower right now to come back, so you get that early deficit. They can do some things that the Reds can't do right now.
Absolutely right. They can do some things that most teams in the National League can't do right now, and that's come back from deficits. We're going to continue here on U.S. Cellular Cardinals Live. There's a live look downstairs awaiting Tony La Russa. His beverage is waiting for him. We'll bring it to you live when he comes down to the podium.